Hi guys, it's Linda here from Ammonia Void with my 22nd episode, this time on authentic expression. It's something that has been on my mind quite a lot this year, not only because of social media, but also because it's something close to my work and I try to keep myself checked in with whether I'm actually authentic to myself and to others. So I thought maybe I can share some thoughts and practices that I do to be honest with myself and how I feel authenticity is perceived today. And like the way we view authenticity is kind of diluted in the last few years. And this main idea of why I came to this topic was when I was watching this Rick Owens interview. And he was talking about how you can keep going closer to your dreams or to be authentic and creative is doing one small thing every single day. And this little thing can actually make a huge difference to coming closer to your dreams and achieving what you really want in your life. And this little step forward also unblocks you from any negative or doubting thoughts. And it can be like just sending a simple email or editing one image, developing a roll of film, writing a random sentence related to your project into your phone, or perhaps showing up to an event where you didn't actually wanted to go to, but maybe you went in the end. And this all kind of brings together consistency, and consistency is something very important for authenticity, way more than intensity. And I feel intensity often gets confused with this term that is constantly about this output, and that you're busy and that you have something to post and have something to show, and that you're there and then you're also there. So it was kind of grounding for me to listen to this interview and think about these little things that I try to do every little step per day to get close to where I want to be. And and I and in relation to this problematics was that I, as a jury, as an editor, as a photographer, working with other people's works, I am sitting in this pool of works and texts, let's say artist statements, project descriptions, newsletters, and they all start to sound pretty much the same. Um, I think majority of the problematics is, of course, that everybody uses AI to write it for them, and this is the my kind of disappointment with it, because when I read something and when I appreciate the work, and I'm like, oh, I'm so looking forward to get to know more about what it is about, and then I see these AI generated sentences, all these dashes, unnecessarily use of dashes, and these classical phrases that ChatGPT produces. It really makes me mistrust the author, in the sense that for me it blocks me to get closer to the work, and it somehow lacks authenticity and credibility for me. um, in a way, the ChatGPT made the language more neutral, so everything is like on the same wavelength, like meh, meh, meh. Everything sounds good but also plain. It's like this bread that you eat every day, and you're like, where's the sauce, where's the spread. It's safe because it's all optimized to be understandable, to be comprehensible, to have no grammar errors, and it's just like, and I feel this is such a shame, because something gets really lost when you outsource your voice elsewhere. It kind of takes something away from your work, and I don't think everybody can see it, but I see it a lot, and I just find it that instead of helping the work to shine, it's kind of muting it. I think we have to ask ourselves, like, am I doing this for the likes, or am I doing this for the validation, or am I doing this because it brings me joy, or because it makes me feel alive? If the second is the case, then you don't really have to rely on this external validation of having your project statements perfect, of or citing Deleuze, or all these massive crazy philosophers that nobody barely understands. Like, you don't put this into an exhibition text unless you really want to create distance from between you and your work and your audience. It's like a barrier, and it's intellectualizing, complicating things. And at the same time, for me, it shows that there's a lack of confidence in the work, because first of all, it's kind of hard to see most of the time the connection between these theories and the work itself. But once you believe in your work, you don't need to put these fancy words and fancy theories into how you present it. Because once you believe your work and in yourself, that's all you need. There's no doubt about it. Because remember, external validation is empty, because in the end it means nothing. And the real confidence is kind of shines through you. And even if you write like one sloppy sentence next to it, it's the truth of it, comes right from the heart. So I think that hits you way more than this very polished presentation text or whatever. I think we have to allow ourselves to express our opinions more freely. And I know that not everybody is a born good writer or born poet, and you can still use technology to help you, but don't forget that it shouldn't be making your own ideas. So it doesn't speak for you. I feel like artists should use AI to, I don't know, do calculations for their taxes, or to help them with making invoices, but not to really make the creative process part of it, in a way that's why everything feels so neutralized lately. It also ties a lot to this fear of expression. I think it's very important in relation to authenticity, how we self-censor parts of ourselves because we think it's maybe shameful or not good enough, and we adjust our tone depending on audience. We want to be liked and accepted. So in this way, authenticity isn't something that is natural. It's rather something you have to protect, and you have to really understand who you are to know what actually is your authenticity. You have to distinguish what is actually yours and what is a mask or a performance. I feel that also it's a trend now to always refer to Pinterest, to Instagram, and it's like this bubble and loop that everything becomes a copy of an existing thing. And when I was looking through Pinterest, you just start to see repetitions of the things that you saved. So the algorithm keeps pushing you the similar things that you like or that somebody already produced, and then you yourself start producing a copy of that copy. And it's this system that I find so damaging for creativity. And I remember in this Rick Owens interview, he also said that he almost never uses mood boards, and I realized it's something that I try to avoid myself, because otherwise you fall for this hole of doing something that was successful before, so you want to do it too, and it's not really yours, and you just continue with this illusion that you continue in the line of what is being rewarded, so you're gonna claim that for yourself. But instead, what is way more exciting and scary is to ask, like, what am I actually really drawn to, and nobody is when nobody is watching. What am I slightly embarrassed to admit I like? Because this embarrassment is often a clue of what is your authentic self. Because authentic is something very, very linked to who you are, and it's not linked to perfectionism. Actually, perfectionism kills authenticity. As a person who's a complete overthinker and perfectionist, I find it very difficult to let go of putting something out that I don't think is perfect yet. um, but I realized that the more I try to let's say share my creative process, not necessarily the final result, and show some rough work or experiments, unfinished thoughts, um, before I feel fully ready to do so, it actually resonated with people the most. You know, sometimes I have these in my notes, in my phone notes, I have like these random thoughts that I write when I'm on the way or when something comes to my head. And I started turning these random thoughts into the captions of my works. And maybe they're totally unrelated, but I still feel there's something really authentic to these notes because they feel random, they feel kind of scattered, or probably there's mistakes, and nobody really knows what they relate to, but somehow they just work for me. And these things, these unreleased, unfinished things are just the things that we often ignore, and they have this sweet spot of the balance of who you are, of not censoring yourself, not filtering your work through this, oh, is it socially acceptable, oh, is it trendy, oh, is it gonna be liked, you know? It's just the raw version of what came out of your head. And as a creative, I think it's so important to keep at least one folder, if you don't have many like me, of rejected images, discarded, unfinished texts, strange, weird notes, voice memos. Um, in Amsterdam, I always used to, when I went a little bit tipsy from parties, I would always walk through this park where I used to live close by. And I would record these random voice memos of ideas that came to my mind at random hours at the night. And then a few days later, I would listen to them. And sometimes I would find such good ideas in there you wouldn't believe. And you know, the most authentic material initially feels really awkward. Um, and some of the things I ended up valuing the most were actually discarded materials because I thought they didn't really look good enough. But I ended up using them in projects, and I'm really glad I did, and I like to continue doing that because they feel very real to me, these elements. So when do we become performative? You know, it's this question that we have to keep in check with ourselves. When do I suddenly sound smarter, safer, cooler, softer? Whether it's in public speaking, emails, artist statements, dating, interviews, or Instagram captions. Um, you know, like when I when I used to do these public presentations, I would always wear glasses because I thought I would look smarter or people would perceive me smarter. And I was like, how freaking ridiculous you are, Linda, for doing this. And then I was like, you're smart enough. You don't need these stupid glasses to like to get more credit for your thoughts. And then I was like, this why am I even doing this? So I stopped doing this crap. And I realized that authenticity is just noticing where your voice changes, or when you have this hiccup before doing something because you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this, but you should do it, you know. You should just go with how you are, not pretending, oh, I'm gonna make these golden teeth so I'm gonna look more cool, or I don't know, just like it's probably not really you. Before putting something out there, I think it's good to ask yourself, am I actually expressing something, or am I rather performing intelligence, taste, or relevance, you know? And this is where it hits hard, because oftentimes I also catch myself like, oh, I think this is actually very performative, and why, you know, what's the point? What's the point is that it comes with the negative side, of course, that when you try to express yourself freely, um, you have to be ready to face judgment, to face haters, to face criticism. You know, if you do these risky things of small acts of honest exposure, say the real opinion, or publish work that feels slightly risky, or you also say no more directly to people, um, it comes with a lot of fear. And in this way, authenticity is a way how you have to eliminate this fear. You become authentic by surviving being seen. It's like a Shark Tank sometimes. And this year especially, I think it's because my Instagram started growing suddenly, and the amount of hate that I received, like, it's uncomparable to the last year. So I was like, did I do something wrong, or I didn't really change anything? It was just that suddenly a lot of people feel that they can say their opinion about my work, or just not feeling any repercussions for what they say, or they don't feel bad about it. And internet is of course like that, but it's hard sometimes, and to deal with it is just know that you're producing something that is true to yourself. So who are these people to talk about my personal experience, or if this hate is actually related to me, or how am I supposed to deal with someone's fragile ego, or negative views of women, their sexuality, their desires. You know, maybe this has nothing to do with me, and it's a way to build this shield to protect yourself, because these attacks are trying to make you become this flat, polished, only aesthetic artist, you know? And so it's part of the deal. And another thing that keeps popping in my head is this constant need for identity and labels. We are often told, like, oh, you need to know who you are. I have no idea sometimes, you know, like, okay, identity can anchor us in a set of values or guide us how we act, but I think how we behave in the world shouldn't necessarily be fixed. The idea that we need an identity becomes really dangerous. It's also a way how to control us. Uh, you know, if you fill out these open calls and you have to cross, like, oh, what is my ethnicity? What is my gender? What is my sexuality? What is my socioeconomic status? All these different things. At the end, the people who get to know these labels is also a point of view how to criticize you based on these labels, how to judge you, how to put you in a certain box, and also a way to control you, and hurt you, of course. And this is so wrong for me. Like, why would institutions need to know these type of things? Or why? Okay, of course it's relevant for some work, but it shouldn't be the leading factor of who I am as a person. It's more important for me personally how I interact with the world around me, and I feel that interaction is much more fluid, and the focus should be rather on thinking critically, and how I act about in the world, to pose questions and not to take everything as it is, because it's very rigid to think only in these categories, or to limit myself to become in this category. So this brings me to the conclusion that authenticity isn't necessarily about being fully honest all the time, but rather about leaving enough of yourself in the work so that it can be mistaken for somebody else. And it's not something you achieve and keep forever, it's more like a constant returning to understanding what really is authentic to you. And I think the main point I would like to highlight, try to focus on the things that you're good at. Don't focus on the things that you're not good at. And you'll see the difference. Once you start focusing on things that you really excel in, that you have like great skills in, this is how you can stand out. This is how you can express yourself authentically. If you focus on the negative, on the things that don't really go well for you, it's gonna affect your mindset a lot. So this brings me to the takeaways of today. So authenticity is a practice, not necessarily a personality trait. It's built through repeated actions over time and not through grand declarations of who you are. Create before you edit, or before you think about what impact it's gonna have, just allow yourself to have this creative process. Write this ugly first draft, make an ugly image, it's fine. Just do as you initially think. Use technology as a tool, not a replacement for your POV. Yeah, if your work could have been made by anyone, then it's not you. No, pay attention to your embarrassment. This is so important. In this embarrassment is usually a lot of authenticity, the true truth of who you are. The things that you love but hesitate to admit, they are your creative identity. Also try to consume less and observe more. It's very important for creative process, like to notice more your surrounding instead of being consumed by this, by these bubbles that exist on the internet. Just enjoy more of the real world. Try to also notice when you're performing. Build tolerance for judgment. Remember that authenticity is the willingness to be seen despite fear and judgment. And you do not need a fixed identity. What matters is remaining curious, critical, and open to exchange. And transformation, of course. Keep those things that feel awkward. You might need them later, and you might come back to them. All these rejected materials, they're like a Pandora's box that you need to open one time, at least one time, and that will bring you to the part that is naturally yours. And also, maybe authenticity isn't about becoming someone. Maybe it's about removing all those things that isn't necessarily you. So I'm gonna leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed. This is kind of like a tough episode because it's related to a lot of self-work, which is hard. This is a hard self-work. So I'm gonna leave it up here for you. I'm sure you can figure it out. I hope you guys are enjoying the sun wherever you are. And I'm sending much kisses to you all. Bye!